The word jackal has spent centuries as an insult. In books, in fairy tales, and in old films, it is usually cast as the hanger-on beside something stronger. A coward, a cheat, a traitor who bolts at the first hint of danger. But who checked that story? Who decided this animal deserved the smear? And are we sure we are not just repeating a very old lie, copied once, then passed along until it hardened into fact? I want to take that apart calmly and stick to the evidence. So what is a jackal, really? Scavenger, hunter, or both? Who did ancient kings and gods mistake it for? Why did scientists get it wrong for more than a century? And how did jackal descendants get jobs at one of the world's biggest airports? The short answer: almost everything you think you know has to be rebuilt from scratch. Start with the first charge. People love to call it a cowardly scavenger, an animal that never catches anything and only picks over the leftovers behind larger predators. There is a slice of truth there. Jackals do eat carrion. But that is where the accusation stops. The golden jackal, Canis aureus, is an omnivore, and its menu is split almost evenly, about 54% animal food, about 46% plant food. The list goes on: small mammals, birds, insects, fruit, carrion, and even human waste where people live nearby. This is not freeloading. It is a flexible forager taking whatever the land offers and hunting for itself. It can work alone, stalking small prey, or feed as a family group when that is the better move. It does not wait for a bigger carnivore to finish dinner. It works. That same flexibility shapes the rest of its life. Where people are scarce, it may hunt in daylight. Near humans, it gets wary and turns almost fully nocturnal. Out in the open by day or out after dark. And its shelter changes with the ground under its feet. Sometimes it digs its own den. Sometimes it uses a rock crevice. Sometimes it moves into a burrow somebody else already dug. Near villages, it raids dumps and feeds on human scraps. Near farms, it shows up to feed on what is left after livestock die. And that is why people often mistake them for a threat to herds. A study of black-backed jackals, Lupulella mesomelas, on a desert coast and in South Africa showed how differently they can eat from place to place. Researchers studied their droppings and found that each population relies on whatever that landscape gives it. That versatility, biologists think, is one reason jackals spread so well into new ground. Where a pickier predator would starve, a jackal changes the menu and survives. And by eating carrion, it does another job too. It is a carcass cleaner, stripping the dead before disease can spread and keeping the ground clear for the rest of us. Then comes a scene that does not fit the coward label at all. The smaller black-backed jackal can push the larger side-striped jackal, Lupulella adusta, off its feeding ground and take its territory. But before we argue hunter or scavenger, there is a bigger trick hiding in the word itself. Jackal is not a single species. It is a catch-all label for several medium-sized canids that happen to look alike, and geneticists are blunt about it. There is no single jackal family tree in nature. Traditionally, 3 species carry the name: the golden jackal, the black-backed jackal, and the side-striped jackal. That resemblance fooled people for a long time. Carl Linnaeus described the golden jackal back in 1758 and placed it in the genus Canis, the same genus as wolves, coyotes, and domestic dogs. So by blood, it sits closer to a wolf, or even your dog, than to the fox it resembles in its reddish coat. Look at the skull, and the nearest match is the dingo, along with the coyote and the grey wolf. No fox family there. And the 2 African jackals were headed for a different fate. From 2017 to 2019, the black-backed and side-striped jackals were moved into Lupulella. Genetics put them outside Canis, distant relatives of the golden jackal. Biologists place them among the most basal living wolf-like canids, hinting at an African origin. Side-striped jackal fossils reached the Pliocene, 5 to 2.5 million years ago. Then, in 2015, African golden jackals turned out to be African golden wolves, closer to the grey wolf than to a jackal. Their genomes differ from the grey wolf by about 4%, which places that wolf in the broader grey wolf group. Enough for different species. For more than a century, people called it a jackal. One person noticed the oddity long ago. In 1880, Thomas Huxley noticed a clue hiding in plain bone. The skulls of large North African jackals sat uncomfortably close to the skull of an Indian wolf. The hint was there more than a century ago. Almost nobody followed it. So let us pin down the animal people keep mislabeling as a fox or a pocket wolf. A male golden jackal, Canis aureus, measures 71 to 85 centimeters from nose to rump. A female is slightly shorter, 69 to 73. Both stand about 45 to 50 centimeters at the shoulder. The tail adds roughly 25 centimeters. A male weighs 6 to 14 kilograms. Females are only a little lighter, and the sexes barely separate by eye. Now compare that with the smallest wolf on Earth, the Arabian wolf. On average, it is around 20 kilograms. Even the smallest wolf usually outweighs a jackal. The jackal is not a shrunk wolf. It is a leaner, lighter canid with a long body, a narrow pointed muzzle, and a short tail. Its legs run long for its frame. The paws are slim, with small pads. The ears are tall and upright, the tail bushy. In summer, the coat is pale, creamy yellow. By winter, it darkens and picks up a red tint. Fox-like enough to fool people. The black-backed jackal, Lupulella mesomelis, at least carries a name tag on its back. A dark saddle of black and silver hairs runs from the shoulders toward the tail, so once you know the mark, you spot it fast. And the name Mess gets worse. The Ethiopian wolf, Canis simensis, is also called the simian wolf, and sometimes even the red jackal. It is its own species. It is not a jackal at all. For centuries, jackal was slapped onto almost any canid with the right silhouette. The loudest mistake, though, leaves biology and walks straight into religion. Think of Anubis, the ancient Egyptian guide into the world of the dead, shown with a black canine head. For generations, he has been labeled jackal-headed. Textbooks say it. Posters draw it that way. But modern Egyptologists increasingly point to another model, the African golden wolf, Canis lupasta. The Egyptians themselves called the god Anpu, or Inpu. Anubis is the Greek way of saying the name, and the ancient Egyptian word tied to him covered several kinds of wild canid. It did not single out the jackal, so the joke is old and awkward. For thousands of years, people honored a canid-headed god while repeating the jackal label. He was not the only one caught in that blur. Another god, Wepwawet, also appears with a canid head. The Greeks named his cult city Lycopolis, the city of the wolf, not the city of the jackal. That is the strange wound in this story. We turned the jackal into a mascot for treachery and still failed to recognize the animal in front of us. The real twist is not in the family tree, it is inside the den. If one word has welded itself to the jackal, it is traitor, the animal of betrayal, the knife in the back. The living golden jackal cuts hardest against that label. It is strictly monogamous. Male and female form a pair, and the pair can last a long time, often for life. That is more than a sentimental field note phrase. In one study area, genetic tests checked who fathered the pups in the litters. The answer matched the behavior. The partners were faithful in blood as well as in plain sight. No extra pair paternity showed up. The female also guards the bond fiercely. Most of her aggression goes toward outside females, keeping them away from her mate. That way, he remains available as the father of future pups. The basic jackal unit is a breeding pair with its young, a small family. Often, one or two grown offspring from the previous year stay. Biologists call them helpers. They could leave and raise pups of their own. Instead, they remain for nearly a year and help their parents feed the next litter. They guard the den, bring food, and babysit the young. A human parallel would be an older brother or sister putting their life on hold so the next children can make it. Those helpers raise pup survival, though in the golden jackal, the effect is weaker than in some related species. That flexible family plan is one reason jackals move into new country so well. Then comes breeding. For golden jackals, the season falls mainly in late January and February. The heat itself lasts only a few days, but local conditions shift the calendar. In the warmer parts of its range, pups can be born in January and February. In southeastern Europe, births come closer to April and May. In tropical Asia, breeding can happen all year. Pregnancy lasts about 63 days. A litter can hold 1 to 9 pups, most often 2 to 4. While the pups are being fed, the pair keeps dens inside its own territory. Even mating adds another blunt detail to the bond. After copulation, the male and female can enter a tie, the so-called lock, and remain physically joined for about 6 to 8 minutes. A female can produce young for at least 8 years. In the wild, golden jackals live on average 8 to 9 years. In captivity, they can reach about 16. Both parents defend the area, and both raise the pups. The pair also keeps touching and grooming, combing through each other's coat, and then they sing. The famous chorus howl of a pair carries information. It is no random night noise. Scientists read it as a signal of how solid the bond is, a fidelity duet, if you like. The howl has practical work too. Jackals use it to keep contact inside the family and to mark the edges of the territory. They also scent mark their ground, and their body language includes postures and touch. Biologists track seasonal patterns and how jackals answer the howl of outsiders. In Bulgaria, researchers found that a jackal's willingness to respond shifts through the year. Inside the family, the mother carries the heaviest load. About every 2 weeks, she moves the pups to a fresh den, keeping predators from pinning them down. The move is her call. Every change of den starts with the female. And the strength of that system showed up in a case that reads almost like field forensics. In Hungary, biologists fitted satellite collars to 91 jackals. When one female in a pair died, a lone female from next door took over her range within a day. The place beside the male did not stay open. The family rebuilt almost at once. The setting may sound African, but Europe is now part of the golden jackal map. The golden jackal, Canis aureus, has been spreading since the 1980s. Scientists describe it as possibly the quickest expansion by a native European carnivore in recent decades. It has reached Switzerland, Germany, Poland, Denmark, the Netherlands, and the Baltic states. So if you live in that belt, the new neighbor may already be close. Have you seen one or heard one in your region? Drop it in the comments. I genuinely want to know how far it has pushed. And since we are talking about neighbors, remember the airport story I promised at the start? Jackal descendants, hired for work. We are nearly there. First though, keep one simple thought in your head. Faithful mate, hard-working father, babysitter for younger pups, and still an animal people shot for centuries because of a reputation built on cowardice and treachery. With humans, the jackal story gets messiest. One stubborn myth says you simply cannot tame it. Wild, skittish, always keeping its own counsel. That is the label. But the rebuttal is not theoretical. It works every day. Start with the thing humans truly prize in a jackal, the nose. Its sense of smell is exceptional, and that nose is why people began working with it in the first place. The golden jackal can also cross with domestic dogs and wolves, producing fertile offspring. These canids are close enough relatives to have young together. With coyotes, no natural hybrids are known. No one has seen a direct mating with the grey wolf in the wild. Still, traces of ancient mixing turned up in mitochondrial genetic material from animals in Senegal and Bulgaria. The line between species is blurrier than our neat labels suggest. Then, in 1975, in the Soviet Union, someone tried a bold combination. The jackal's phenomenal nose joined to the stamina of an ordinary dog that could work in freezing weather. Jackals were crossed with dogs, and a new working dog was born. The Sulemov dog is also known as the Shalaika. It is a hybrid, roughly one-quarter jackal, named for the biologist Klim Sulemov, who developed it. And here is the airport payoff. These dogs, one-quarter jackal, work at Sheremetyevo Airport. Aeroflot uses them and trains them for a hard job, recognizing the sense of explosive components. So right now, descendants of that shy, supposedly untamable animal help guard one of the country's largest airports. A wild jackal's nose protects thousands of people. So much for the untamable coward. And the pull toward humans may be ancient. In Turkey, archaeologists found a sculpture about 11,000 years old. The figure is not a hunt scene. The person is holding the animal, not chasing it away.
Maybe this is one of the earliest traces of humans and this animal trying to live alongside each other. Which makes the next chapter harder to swallow. The human-jackal relationship has an airport nose on one side and a gun on the other. For decades, people have persecuted jackals for two reasons. First, they are blamed for killing livestock. Second, people fear them as carriers of rabies. This is where the numbers matter, because fear usually shouts over the evidence. Yes, a jackal can get rabies, like any wild canid. But in Indian statistics on human rabies infections, jackals account for only about 1.7% of cases, under 2 in 100. Dogs are the main source there, at almost 96%. Foxes add about 3%. The jackal sits at the bottom of the list, yet the disease carrier label sticks to it. Now take the attacks people cite most often. In one forest district of India, over 7 years, from 1998 to 2005, researchers recorded 220 jackal attacks on humans. 220 sounds ugly, but the detail that usually gets left out is the important one. None of those attacks killed a person. Not one. Most did not happen deep in forest either. They happened in villages, beside human homes. There was a tragic case too. In 2008, near Bhopal, one jackal attacked 36 people across 5 villages, and 4 of the injured later died. But the cause matters. That jackal had rabies. This was the behavior of a sick animal, not the normal pattern of the species. A healthy jackal does not act that way. One more small fact says a lot. There is no serious trade in jackal products. Occasionally people sell skins or tails, but jackals are not wiped out for valuable fur or meat. Mostly, they die because of a name tag: coward, pest, infection. The bitter part is that the species itself is not rare. On the red list of the International Union for Conservation of Nature, all 3 jackals named here sit in the calmest category, least concern. The golden jackal, the black-backed jackal, and the side-striped jackal. The golden jackal has a huge range, and overall its numbers are doing fine. So people spend bullets on an animal that is threatened by almost nothing here, except us. The quieter problem hides in the confusion we started with. Scientists have noticed that the Cape and East African populations of the black-backed jackal differ genetically so strongly that they may even be separate species. And when we cannot clearly say what stands in front of us, jackal, wolf, golden wolf, separate species or not, we can fail the animals that really are rare. First slandered, then misidentified. That is a dangerous mix. Before we close the file, add a few last marks to the portrait. The golden jackal often hides in reed beds and coastal thickets, which earned it the nickname reed wolf. In German, Rohrwolf. And in Turkey, one was found completely black. A dark coat from melanism and a major rarity for this species. A black jackal, almost out of legend. The black-backed jackal is considered one of the oldest canids still living today. It is an ancient lineage walking beside us.
Jackals begin tiny. A newborn pup weighs only 200 to 250 grams, less than a block of butter. Its eyes open around the 10th day, and its mother nurses it for about 8 weeks. But there is one line a jackal does not cross easily. Deep snow is the wall that stops the jackal from pushing farther north.
Long winters matter more than rifles. For this animal, snow is the harsher enemy. And then there is the reputation problem. Not every culture cast the jackal as a villain. Beside the fox and the coyote, it often appears as the clever operator, the trickster, almost a little magician. In the ancient Indian Panchatantra, that is exactly his role. Sly, slippery, but not treacherous. There is even a tale built around a tiger, a Brahmin, and a jackal. The hanger-on image we know was helped along by Rudyard Kipling. In the Jungle Book, Tabaqui waits on Shere Khan. It is unforgettable writing and deeply unfair to the real animal. So we have stripped the insult back to the living creature. Now the first question can finally be answered. Is the jackal really a coward and a parasite? No. What we have here is an omnivorous, adaptable predator. It finds its own food, and it cleans up what nature leaves behind. It forms a stable pair for life. It raises young with help from older offspring. Its sense of smell is so fine that its descendants now search for explosives in airports. Yet for centuries, people shot it for a moral stain it never carried. The charges of meanness, cowardice, and betrayal came from us. We pasted them onto the jackal, turned our own idea of low behavior into an animal, and made its name an insult. We even confused its identity so badly that an ancient god ended up filed as a jackal. That is the lesson. Separate facts from labels, not just for the jackal. When we stop repeating inherited slander and watch the animal itself, the picture sharpens. Nature, history, and our own habits come into focus. The next time someone throws jackal out as an insult, remember the faithful animal behind the word. You may even feel you owe it an apology. I want to take apart a couple more animals with ruined reputations. Tell me in the comments whose name we have turned into an insult for no good reason.